Clowns. It's another episode of Every Horror Movie on Netflix, the show where we watch, review, and discuss every horror movie on Netflix. Back again, I am Patrick, here as usual with my fellow clowns, Chris.
Hello.
And Steven.
Hi.
Oh, y'all are scaring me. We are here this week to discuss Killer Clowns from Outer Space, my pick for this week, but we're also here to celebrate, holy shit, you guys, our 100th episode of this podcast.
What?
I know,
100
right?
100 episodes. These guys need to get a life.
Ugh, yeah, seriously.
I've been trying.
I mean,
what a big deal.
It is a big deal, and this anniversary kind of snuck up on all of us to the point where when we recorded our 99th episode, it didn't even occur to us that our 100th episode was coming up, and we were like, oh shit, we probably should do something to celebrate this momentous occasion.
Totally.
So
yeah, we should have a jam-packed episode right now full of celebrities and fun anecdotes and confetti and
Neville Archambault.
that is a fantastic idea
that we should have had 6 months ago.
But
GJ Action Camp.
But unfortunately, we didn't do that. So instead, we're going to do a little something special to celebrate the 100th episode, just not necessarily on this episode. We're going to do it in between this episode and next episode. We are inviting everyone to join us for a very special event. We're going to jump on Instagram Live, Facebook Live, on our social media channels at AmonCast, EHMONcast, on April 1st, April Fool's Day. Really couldn't be more appropriate than that.
Don't get any ideas. Don't fool us. Don't troll us.
Don't troll
us. Fool us, we'll fool you back.
Not even a little. Don't troll us.
terminal
Wait.
degree.
We have 99 other episodes, Chris, where we've encouraged people to troll us.
Well,
why are we backing down now?
Because this one's going to be live. There's no safety net.
Because it's our birthday. Be nice to us. It's our birthday, okay?
Yeah.
But we're going to be on the Facebook Live, the Instagram Live, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, so that's 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time.
What is it, Greenwich Median Time?
Oh
5 p.m. Pacific Time.
Don't even ask me Greenwich Median Time. It's going to be for our friends on the It Slays podcast out in wherever, I forget where they live in
Nova
Canada.
Scotia.
It's going to be 9 p.m. for them. So, adjust for your time zone. But we're going to be out there. We're going to be talking, reflecting on this experience. We'll be taking questions if anybody wants to ask us a question. We might be playing some horror Trivial Pursuit. We're just going to be vibing. If you want to come vibe with us, say hello, say happy 100 episodes. We'd love to have you there. April 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
And for my Twitter friends, we don't have permission to do a Twitter space yet, but maybe by April 1st we will. If we can, we will also simulcast this to Twitter spaces, and you'll be able to participate through there as well. It's just a matter of if the account lets me do that by then.
Yeah. And, if it sucks, we'll never do it again.
Yeah, and if it sucks, we'll say 100 episodes and out was a good run.
Yeah, we're done.
No. If it sucks, we'll go back to the drawing room, try and learn our lessons, and figure out a better way to do it for episode 200.
Going back to the drawing room. I love it.
It'll be like Apollo 13.
Yeah, we need a Gary Sinise to guide us through this experience.
I need Gary Sinise to do something.
Some guy
at
just
the very least.
live streaming for 10 hours by himself. Sweaty.
Cameo, whatever. Like, Gary Sinise, get back out there, buddy. You're talented.
Yeah, he should be in the Marvel universe.
He should.
Oh my God.
What's a good Marvel role for him, Patrick? You're the comics nerd.
You are.
I'm going to have to think about that. Fuck. I have nothing appropriate off the top of my mind. I mean, like, nothing for a middle-aged, like, it's stoically handsome, but still very average-looking man. Quite comes to mind for me.
They could make him the Green Goblin. They could make him Norman Osborn.
Oh, Gary Sinise is Norman Osborn. Actually, yeah, that's dank. That's
He
good.
might be the only person who doesn't make me miss Willem Dafoe.
Yeah. All right, you know what? You just figured it out. You solved the problem.
Figured it out. Hey, speaking of comics, Patrick, do you want to plug your other project right now? Is that something you want to do?
I mean, sure. So yeah, I mean, because I have no horror catch up this week. Really, I the only horror that I experienced in the past week was watching Zack Snyder's Justice League. Sure, I'll plug my other project. And this is not horror related at all, but and I didn't even ask Chris for this product placement, but sure. I as I mentioned a couple episodes ago, I am in the process of reading every X-Men comic ever, because there was an amazing X-Men line-wide relaunch about 2 years ago now. I got super sucked into that, have gotten very into like the X-Men fan community. There's a huge queer community around X-Men, and I love that because there's a lot of queer subtext to X-Men and a lot of political subtext in general. And I really enjoyed that, really loved the decades-long crazy-ass soap opera that's associated with this franchise, unlike any other. And I mean, I'm into superhero comics, but there's nothing quite like the continuity of X-Men. It's dense in a way that frustrates me, but also intrigues me. So I've been reading every X-Men comic ever, posting about it on Instagram. And if you want to follow along, if you want to see some of the highlights of this journey, follow at Neverending X-Men on Instagram.
Oh, awesome. I didn't know you were doing this.
I'm doing that, yeah.
You didn't know he was doing this?
No clue.
Oh, I follow. I don't even care that much about X-Men, but I follow and I read, and yeah, there you go.
I don't care much, but I'm fascinated by it, and I'm also, like Patrick mentioned, like there is a huge queer following for the X-Men comics, which makes a lot of sense to me given like what little I've absorbed over the years, that would be a franchise that the queer community could kind of rally around. And yeah, I'm in, dude. I mean, awesome. Good for you.
Let's just say this past week, there's a big event coming up in the comics called the Hellfire Gala, which is like a huge party. It's like the Met Gala for X-Men.
It's like the Jellicle Ball.
Exactly. And this week they debuted all the looks for the X-Men for this event, and I'm gonna say it broke the internet. It broke the X-Men fan community for a good couple of days, just seeing some of the wild outfits we're gonna see on the red carpet at this event. Emma Frost just walked away with everyone's hearts. I mean, if she didn't have them already. Anyways,
dude, speaking of Luke's, I want to stay on this for a minute.
Oh, sure.
I'm assuming that at least Patrick has seen the upcoming new gay Captain America.
Yes.
I haven't.
What a Luke. A haircut. What a haircut. I feel called out. I feel seen in a way I don't want to be seen.
It's a Luke. I mean, I love and support the fact that there's a gay Captain America. I don't know. I don't know that much about the character yet. I'm sure the Luke makes total sense for the character. It just didn't turn the dial too much for me. It's not much of a Luke. It's very scrappy. It's very street, you know?
Sure, I will welcome him with open arms, even if I don't read the comics. I just wish he had a better haircut.
I just Googled gay Captain America because I don't know what you're talking about. So I Googled gay Captain America, and I just saw this like painting of Marvel Cinematic Universe Captain America making out with Robert Downey Jr.
That's what you would get for searching that, Chris.
That makes sense.
Mouths wide open.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't get some like Stucky fan art first, though.
But we have a movie to talk about, Chris, so you should probably bookmark that for later.
Yeah, all right.
Put that in the spank bank. And,
put it in a tab.
All right. Well, what the hell? I mean, I don't have any horror catch up. I feel like we've kind of exhausted the time we can spend on non-movie.
I got nothing. I mean, I watched the last Blockbuster on Netflix, so it's like not horror related necessarily. It's fine. I don't know. It's
I watched Den of Thieves on Netflix.
Yeah,
it's not horror related either.
Sounds fucking awesome.
It was fun.
Oh, I did watch The Queen of Black Magic and had a great time with that. Holy shit, that was an intense experience, man. You did not undersell it. I mean, the centipedes in and of themselves don't do a whole lot for me, but plenty of images from that movie are just indelibly burned into my brain.
Dude, Joko Anwar, like, when he makes his English language horror debut, it's going to be a big fucking deal. I can just see it now, like, within the next 2 years.
I was fascinated, too, researching him that, I mean, he is known for a couple of outstanding horror movies, but also his filmography is all over the place. He's made comedies. I think he made, from what I remember, not looking at Wikipedia in this exact moment, he made the first Indonesian film to feature an openly gay character, which is cool.
Whoa, interesting.
He's done a superhero film, like he's kicking off essentially the Indonesian equivalent of the MCU right now. Like, this dude is just all over the place.
The Dark Universe?
I wish. No, but yeah, his output is all over the place, and I love, a versatile talent like that.
Yeah, and so I can't remember at this point. I don't think he directed Queen of Black Magic. I think he wrote it.
He did, that's right.
But he directed Impedagore or Impedagore. I've heard it pronounced two different ways. That's next on my list, and I'm hoping next episode to report back on that, because that sounds even more fucked up.
Is that on Shudder?
It is on Shudder, yeah.
All right, I'll join you in that mission. We can meme about it.
Cool. Movie club. Love it.
Well, what the hell did we watch this week, guys, for the show?
And why?
As I said already, we watched Killer Klowns from Outer Space, and we watched it because it's on Netflix, and it's a movie that I fucking love and have been wanting to bring into the show for a bit. I know Steven has seen it before. I know Chris hadn't, which I was interested to have that diversity of perspective. And this is actually the now third time that I've watched this film in the past year, and y'all will both be hopefully happy to hear that this time around I actually watched it on my very own Blu-ray copy of it.
Oh, wow. You own it on Blue.
I bought physical media, y'all. Can you believe it?
I have a little bit of a story about that. So there's been a Blue out for a while, but Arrow Video has put out several different editions of this movie on Blu-ray, but only in a limited fashion, and they've all sold out, and they're super fucking expensive on eBay. But it's apparently much better quality. It's a new restoration, shitloads of special features. I got so excited, Patrick, when you said we were going to watch this movie. I was like, you know what? I'm finally going to click buy on that Blu-ray. I'm going to watch all the special features, all the commentaries, because I've seen this movie probably 3 times before. Do the research, have tons of info to dump on you guys, and it's gone. Like unless you want to spend over $100 on it, you can't get it.
Sad.
I know, super disappointed.
Weirdly, I have 2 copies of this movie in my house right now because pre-COVID, our good friend of the pod, Bill, lent me his copy of Killer Klowns before all this went down. And in the midst of COVID, I don't know, this was probably like April, May, June, sometime last year, when I was very much in the zone of just one of my main comforts was just buying random shit on eBay. I was like, I want Killer Klowns on Blu-ray. I need to own this. So I ordered it. It shows up like a week later, and I'm like sticking it into the pile of Blu-rays and DVDs on top of my PlayStation. And I realize I've already got a copy in the house from Bill, and I had forgotten about it. So thanks for the year and a half long loaner of your Killer Klowns Blu-ray, Bill. I'll give it back to you when this shit is all over.
I still have Bill's copy of The Car from a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So I'm with you there.
That's the best thing when you go into a trance and you're like, why don't I own this movie? And then you just go on to Amazon. It's usually 1:30 in the morning, blood alcohol content above normal, and you just search John Carpenter Blu-ray and you click add to cart, add to cart, add to cart.
Definitely not speaking from personal experience.
Yeah, I mean, that's an infrequent experience for me because I don't know, I'm not a physical media nerd the way y'all are, but over the past year, it's happened a couple of times. Also bought Bram Stoker's Dracula out of nowhere in the past year on Blu-ray, so it happens. So we should set up Killer Klowns, but also at the same time, almost what's the point? It
is exactly what the title tells you it is.
Yeah,
like through and through.
it's almost in a way plotless to me. It's a vehicle for amazing special effects, and I don't even know where to break for spoiler room on this, because what spoilers are there in Killer Klowns? I don't know.
Who cares?
I want to have it for structural reasons, but I don't even know where the spoiler break would fall, you know.
We'll break when we have to pee, and we'll keep talking about it afterward.
Perfect.
But I would say mostly this is like a series of sketches. You know, like you get your it's like your basic kind of invaders from Mars, like 1950s science fiction movie where there's this, you know, strange threat that, you know, comet lands on Earth, but it's not a comet, it's a spaceship, and there's aliens, and they terrorize a small town. That's it. Like, there's no themes in this movie, really. Like, it doesn't have anything to say about social politics or politics in general. It's an excuse for really inventive special effects.
It is very episodic, yes. So the basic premise is is it a comet? Is it an asteroid? Some sort of...
It's a spaceship.
A spaceship lands on Earth, and the aliens that come out of it look like horrifying clowns. Their home base looks like a circus tent, looks like a fun house inside. Yeah. All of their weapons are related to clown paraphernalia, whether it's balloon animals or popcorn or whatever. Everything ties back to clowns, but they're also aliens, and they're trying to kill people. Namely, our kind of three protagonists, a couple, man and woman, who are kind of your typical, you know, teenagers, quote unquote, in love, and their friend, the police officer, and they're trying to fend off the killer clowns.
Their friend, the police officer.
Their friend, the police officer, a phrase that almost none of us can say.
Right, that is a very bizarre element of this movie. And, like, the real villain is, I think, I mean, aside from obviously the titular clowns, but for a while, the real villain is Deputy Mooney, who Chris has adopted the name of for this Zoom chat. And, like, it's a small town that's adjacent to a college, and early on, we understand that this apparently two-person police force is just, like, on the, just looking to nab teenagers and early 20-somethings for reckless drinking or whatever.
Well,
like they're just
Mooney,
like
Mooney is,
and there's nothing going on. They're just looking to nab people for openly carrying bottles of wine, which seems to happen a lot in this movie, and I love it. I relate to it.
I don't think there's a beer in... Oh, there is one beer with the guys crossing the street. But
it's a lot of wine and champagne.
Yeah, a lot of wine and champagne.
That's rare to see in a movie, and I felt very seen.
It's so true, actually, that Mooney is kind of the true antagonist of the movie, because he's really the first antagonistic force that we see. Like, within the first 3 to 4 minutes of the movie, we see someone crossing the street, and Mooney's like watching the kid cross the street. He's just like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, I thought that this was going to be a movie about a maniac cop, much like Den of Thieves.
No, you got to watch Maniac Cop for that.
Yeah, but no.
Oh, yes.
So here's the thing. I had not seen this movie before, so I was kind of groaning having to watch it. Killer Klowns from Outer Space, not a title that interests me.
Sure,
you know,
that's fair.
I was expecting something that was like Asylum level, like, isn't this funny that we have clowns from outer space and they're killing people, and I just wasn't that interested. What I did appreciate, compared to other movies kind of in that vein and compared to other sort of like 80s slasher movies, etc., which this isn't really a slasher movie, but kind of close to it in some parts, is I thought the characterization was pretty decent. You know, you have this young couple, and they are actually... You stick with them. They don't just die immediately like I thought they were going to. So you kind of get to know them throughout the course of the movie. And then, you have this Officer Mooney who, I mean, he's a he's an asshole. So this is like a middle-aged, close to retirement cop who is just a misanthrope. He thinks that the college the college that's adjacent to his town has just ruined his town with all these college kids, and he's just out to, like, crack skulls, arrest people on trumped up charges.
Oh, he'll put people in jail for jaywalking if he has to. Like, he's that pent up in his rage for these young kids.
He's just a very abusive man. And that's not the kind of character I'm typically a fan of. But I thought he was kind of compelling, especially as the movie goes along. And the conflict is you have all these clowns in outer space, or from outer space, and the Mooney refuses to believe it. And so it's like...
Oh, doggedly. Like, just to beyond all reason refuses to believe it.
Right, and then he eventually
his phone is ringing off the hook with calls about killer clowns fucking people up, and Mooney's just like, nope.
He's like, nope, I'm just going to smoke a fucking cigar and sit back and not answer the phone anymore because these people are crazy. I've heard reports of people dying, but I haven't seen any bodies, so...
And the actor has such a presence, too. It's a really interesting actor. I tried to see what else he was in. He was the police chief in Dirty Harry, I think, or the mayor in Dirty Harry.
Okay.
So anyway,
Chris, I'm sensing an early Spirit of J Award frontrunner from you here.
Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to get on the side of a bad cop like that, but. That's what I was gonna say, because that's what was interesting to me. I ended up on his side because he comes face to face with a killer clown from outer space, and all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, crack this clown's skull. Put the, I was for extrajudicial police violence against the killer clown from outer space, something I would ordinarily never be in favor of.
Well, that's something we should save for the spoiler room, what his fate winds up being.
Oh, absolutely.
And that is like the most horrifying scene in the movie to me by far.
Yes, that was the first moment where I was like, maybe this movie's good, because for the most part it does play like you're watching like Looney Tunes.
Well, it is very cartoonish. I mean, like these killer clowns who do look pretty fucking horrifying.
Oh, yes.
I mean, the Chiodo brothers who made this movie, the special effects are very cheap. This is clearly a very low budget movie, but they maximize the budget.
Yeah.
And make everything look as good as possible. It's often kind of clunky. But for the most part, these clowns are just doing what clowns do. They like one of them turns a balloon, a bunch of balloons into a dog, and the dog starts barking on its own. And
it's amazing.
Some shadow puppet shit. And
all you've got with that balloon dog is a literal balloon animal, and just the actor playing it up to play like they're holding a literal dog pulling a leash, and it works like gangbusters. It is simultaneously silly, like you're kind of laughing at what you're seeing, but also kind of shocked at how effective it is. At least
totally
I was. I mean, I really related when Chris said killer clowns from outer space. It doesn't sound like something I'd want to watch. I mean, that was my reaction for months after Bill brought the Blu-ray over to my house. I was like, I don't know about this. That doesn't sound that interesting. It sounds like it's trying to be funny / scary / dopey / edgy. And I mean, it is trying to be those things, but it succeeds, in my opinion.
I saw this as a teenager, and I think I was trying to cast my mind back to how I felt about the prospect of watching a movie with this title back then. And I think I felt the same way. I was like, oh, this sounds like it's like a Leprechaun movie. Like it knows it's a bad movie and it's just going to be a bunch of bullshit and stupid one-liners and whatever. But like the Chiodo brothers try to sell it as hard as they possibly can, while also acknowledging that it is a fucked up parody of a 50s B sci-fi movie. Mm-hmm. They really lean into the concept in a way that I found kind of admirable and kind of ballsy.
Yeah, I mean, the clowns, I fucking love the clowns. The clowns look amazing. They're the scariest clowns I've ever seen. They're the most disgusting clowns I've ever seen. They're surprisingly lifelike in that, they're huge rubber masks, but their eyes blink and whatever in a fairly convincing way. It's simultaneously weirdly lifelike and weirdly drawing your attention to the fact that it is an effect. I don't know. It's a very
exactly, Patrick. It is hard to describe, but I think you nailed it. Where like they're trying to sell you with fairly low budget effects that they managed to do pretty well for the resources they have, but at the same time also kind of winking at you. And then every time at least for me, every time I felt like, oh god, this is going too far, it's getting too silly, something truly fucked up happens. I mean, there's a scene where one of the clowns, and I'd a lot of this was just like muscle memory for me watching this movie, but one scene that like totally blew me away was when a clown rides up on like a little tricycle.
Yep.
In an alley outside of like a leather bar, which also like we could talk about the graffiti on the wall of that bar. I don't know what that means, or if either of you noticed it. It was kind of strange.
It's just kind of like random scrawlings, I think, right?
No, there are some like ass and like butt puns that I didn't fully understand.
Oh, okay.
It's like no butt, no putt, ass or grass are two of the things written on the wall. Never pays off, but it was kind of alarming to me on this watch. But yeah, so this clown like rides through the alley on a tricycle. These leather daddies are outside just kind of smoking.
Okay, that's definitely a biker bar. It's not like a leather bar.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Well,
it's a biker bar.
That's where my mind goes. It's a biker bar. But
it's like the bar from Green Room.
It's like the bar from Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
I think the butt stuff and the graffiti kind of fucked me up this time around. I was like, wait, is there more to this? But yeah, it's a biker bar, and this clown rides up on a tricycle like through this hazy alley, and one of the bikers comes up and taunts him and breaks his bicycle, and then the clown materializes boxing gloves.
Yeah.
And one of the other bikers says, what are you going to do? Knock his block off? And the clown punches his head off into a trash can.
Yes. Decapitates him.
Uppercut.
Yeah. That was a moment where I was like, oh, this movie is like, I can see like in another director's hands this just being like a silly moment, and them getting into a fight and like the biker dying. But the fact that Steven Chiodo, the director, went as far as to like have the clown punch the guy's head literally off took it to the level I needed to be at.
It's simultaneously funny and genuinely unsettling.
Yeah, totally.
Because it really kind of comes out of nowhere, and it's helped along by the clown's kind of expressionlessness. You know, I mean, they're all, I don't know that their mouths ever change shape from what I can remember. And you've got this, you know, small clown. He's short. He's the shortest clown. Rides up on his little bike, and he's got his same dopey, creepy grin the whole time. And you're almost thinking, you know, maybe these bikers are actually going to fuck him up.
Totally.
And then, maybe he's just goofing around with his boxing gloves. No, he's going to straight up fucking murder this guy by punching his head off.
No, I never thought the bikers were going to fuck him up.
I didn't think the bikers were going to fuck him up. I didn't think the clown would fuck the biker up as bad as he did, though. It was some knock 'em, sock 'em robot shit.
I knew he was going to die, but yeah, it was a satisfying payoff. No, what movie this reminded me of? Gremlins.
Oh, yeah. Well, that is no mistake, Chris, because the Chiodo brothers, what I knew them from as a kid, just seeing their name in credits, was Critters 1 and Critters 2. They did the whole series. I've never seen 3 and 4, but Critters was also starring Dee Wallace, who we interviewed on the show.
Yes.
That was a blatant Gremlins ripoff.
Oh. Well, there we go.
And that was their claim to fame, is that they created the Krites and did all kinds of really fun, inventive stuff with them in those two movies.
The movie benefits from, like Patrick was saying, about the look of these clowns. It's very much in a very specific era of like late 80s, early 90s Uncanny Valley animatronic characters.
Yes. I was gonna bring up Uncanny Valley as well. They exist in the Uncanny Valley of physical things.
Like it's like the sitcom Dinosaurs, or the Harry and the Hendersons, or things like that, where it's like, I think there's a person, like the eyes are moving, but
yeah,
nothing else is.
They're like real enough to convince you, but unreal enough to still just be extremely disorienting in the best way. It works for this movie that they look real, but not quite real enough.
The creepiest scenes in this movie to me, because they look amazing. The creature design is amazing. On this watch, I was like, like the eyes don't blink enough. Like they look a little cheap. Like you can tell the hands can't move, naturally, but they're doing the best what they can for the budget. The scenes that really creep me out in this movie are like the incidental scenes where like a clown is like backing into a doorway after a confrontation and it looks like something out of a fucking snuff film that also happens to feature clown aliens. There were a couple of those in this where I was
break
like,
that down.
The scenes where like there's just the guy in the clown suit behaving in like a normal way, but like not related to any kind of horrific event. Like there is one scene that I just referred to where like a clown like does something fucked up and giggles and like backs away into a doorway in a wide shot. And in the wide shot with the grainy, cheap cinematography, it scared me. Like, I don't know if it was intended to.
How does that connect to the snuff film, though? That was the main thing I was curious about.
Because it looked real, like as real as like you can imagine these characters like existing in a film.
Yeah,
it was like there were two of those moments in this that just gave me the chills in a way I wasn't expecting after having seen it multiple times. And I think part of that is credited to like whatever source Netflix has for this film really shows the grain and shows like the low budget aspect of the production in a way that I'd never seen before, because I've only ever seen this on the fucking cheap ass MGM DVD from the early 2000s.
I love the absurdity of the concept and the commitment to the bit of everything tying back to clowns in one way or another.
Yeah.
And the lack of explanation for that. The characters discuss it at one point and offer theories as to why these aliens look and behave like clowns. But there's no actual answer given. And I fucking love that.
Yeah,
okay,
I needed that. I didn't need an answer, but I needed them to acknowledge that, and they did. They do acknowledge it.
Yeah,
and that was all I needed.
They do, and that's wonderful. I have to say, it is very strange seeing this film in the wake of It, Stephen King's It, and like having read the book since I saw the film, having seen the TV miniseries since I saw this film, and having seen the Andy Muschietti movies. Like, that added kind of a new level of creepiness to me, because I was like, well, we don't really get an explanation, but the one my brain wants to fill in is that, like, these aliens are not clowns. They look nothing like clowns. Like, they like take on the form of clowns because it's something familiar and creepy to humans, but they do it in like the most fucked up way because they don't understand like how we relate to clowns and how they look.
Well, I love the interpretation that one character offers in the film, that maybe they were here before us, before clowns in general, and our concept of clowns is based on the killer clown.
That's also totally it.
That's a good galaxy brain moment, you know?
Yeah, that's totally it, but I think this came out either the same year or the year after It came out. But it was, I don't know. I mean, it's completely incidental. It obviously has nothing to do with the production of this movie, but like having like dealt with clowns in horror in my life since I saw this, it was kind of interesting to see it again, like having that as sort of a template for an explanation of like these aliens appearing as something other than what they might actually look like.
Yeah, I just love how far you take the bit. I mean, whether you've got, popcorn being shot out of popcorn guns that later, when thrown in a clothes hamper, turns into horrifying little baby clown faces that pop out on John Carpenter-esque little tentacles and menace a woman in a bathroom. It's It's wild. I love the commitment to the bit.
Yeah, and one of my most common criticisms of movies like this are that they don't stick to the premise enough.
Yeah.
Have any of you ever seen Puss in Boots, the Shrek spinoff?
No.
movie?
No, God, no.
Well, you're familiar with Puss in Boots, the cat that's Zorro.
Of course.
Yeah. Antonio
Yeah, well,
Banderas.
Right. Well, he got his own film, and anytime that character is acting like a cat in that movie, it's hilarious. But instead of just having him do a Zorro thing, they send him off on some quest where it's like, oh, you actually have to do this. They send him on some fantasy quest that could be any character. It doesn't, and it just kills the whole movie. And that's often what you get with these movies, where it's like, yeah, all right, so the premise is there's a killer clown, but then it plays out like it could be anything. No, this movie sticks to the premise in every scene.
Totally.
Clown shit happening. They're killer clowns. They're from outer space. If you don't like it, fuck you. There's no respite.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, like it really does commit on every level, and that's what I admire about it. That's what sets us apart from a Leprechaun movie or an Asylum movie. Like it knows what it is, and it's so ballsy that I can't believe this thing got made and released in 1988. I mean, it feels in a way very ahead of its time.
This was made in the year of my birth.
My birth, too.
I didn't realize that. Yes. And Chris's.
Yep.
Amazing.
Wow.
We're killer clown
So-
babies.
I want to circle back to the what Chris said about the characterization. I found that very interesting because that is, to me, I guess, a weak link, and I don't have a problem with it. Because I'm like, again, it's a delivery mechanism for crazy effects and concepts. But I don't know, the character seemed a little stock to me. But I love that Chris was feeling it.
Well, I mean, this wasn't
To a
the
degree,
Irishman.
within reason. Yeah, it wasn't
like,
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
It was. What I mean is, like, I appreciate that we kind of stuck with the same cast of characters the whole movie. It's not like a movie where they're just killing random people, I don't know. I can't think of a good example right now.
Fucking Friday the 13th or any slasher.
Sure.
Any slasher.
And you have a couple interesting things going on. I mean, you have Officer or Deputy Mooney, who is really a character and played with a really compelling actor. And then you got the tension between him and the younger cop, who is more by the book and a little turned off by Mooney's ways. That cop is also the ex-boyfriend of our heroine. So you have like a love triangle where you have the young lovers and they need help from the cop. They go to the cop because she has the relationship with the cop and she knows that he'll believe her when she says there's killer clowns from outer space. But then that creates tension when the two boyfriends have to interact. And, there's just, it's not, no one's winning an Oscar today, but it's, I appreciate that there were little details like that you could hook your attention onto and be like, oh, that's interesting. And the young cop has a dark side too, which I thought was interesting. He's not a great guy.
I don't even know if I know what you're talking about, actually.
The cop, our protagonist. One of the three protagonists. I forget his name. There's Mike and Debbie, and I forget what the cop's name is.
Dave, I think.
Yeah, the younger, Dave, something like that. Deputy Dave or something. I mean, he's a little bit of a hard ass. He is a little cruel to our lovers at different times.
A little bit, but he's also like under the thumb of Deputy Mooney.
This guy's a psychopath.
He's like kind of Mooney's apprentice, and trying not to be like him, but is also like stuck behaving in that kind of old school cop way.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Well, and we've also got fucking Click and Clack, the garbage ice cream.
I could do without them, to be perfectly frank.
Yes, I agree 100%. They're annoying as fuck.
But also, like, that's a trope in like 50s, 60s sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
Like, you got to have. They're just like a means to an end. Like there's got to be somebody who acts kind of crazy at the beginning and like disrupts things, who eventually will become useful to the plot.
Yeah,
just pure.
It's Jar Jar Binks.
They
I mean,
are
essentially
the Jar Jar Binks. Yeah,
but here's the thing: you don't need a comic relief character when your movie's Killer Clowns from Outer Space and you're not playing it straight.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Yeah.
The whole movie's That your comic relief is that you have killer clowns from
this
outer
movie's
space.
already slightly under 90 minutes, and I feel like it might not be a feature-length film if we got rid of those characters.
A famous short. Well, yeah, I mean, we're talking about how their means to an end. We may as well get to the end. I feel like we're getting there already. Do y'all want to review it and go down to the spoiler tent?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I want that fucking cotton
first?
candy right now.
Oh, God, we didn't even talk about the cotton candy. They fucking encase people in cotton candy pods, and when they open one for the first time, it's disgusting and horrifying.
Yeah, I was horrified.
It's gross.
I've seen worse.
All right.
I feel like I should go
yes.
last because I feel like y'all have made your feelings on this movie clear, and I'm the wild card. I want to keep you in suspense.
Yeah.
Oh, you might be surprised by my review.
Well, go ahead and surprise us.
Yeah, surprise us, Steven.
I'm going to give it a cue it. This is a movie that I don't know that I've ever loved, but it's popped back in my life, I think 4 times now.
You gave it a preemptive view it last episode, Steven. Are you rescinding your rating?
I am, because I just watched it again and I'm like, man, this is fucking clunky. I honestly got a little bit bored at a couple of points. I didn't find the special effects as impressive for the era as I did the last time I watched it, but it's got that scrappy charm. I love that. It's better than other films of its ilk, or at least films that might be suggested by a title like this. But, it's obviously hokey. Like, that's the bit, but sometimes it's a little too hokey. Some of the gags are groan-worthy. The clowns are scary. I also found them to be less animated and, lifelike than I did when I'd seen this previously. So I would say, if you're curious about, it's not the kind of B movie that I would watch with a crowd. I don't think it's a crowd movie, and that's kind of what I want it to be. It doesn't have enough surprising moments in it to justify getting together with a group of people and getting drunk and eating pizza and laughing at it. Everybody's going to tune out and talk about something else for long stretches of this thing. That's my take. But it does hold a dear place in my heart, which is why I'm not giving it a complete screw it. Patrick?
Unequivocal view it with prejudice. Watched it 3 times in the past year. It's a fucking blast every goddamn time. I can't imagine a better crowd movie to watch. I can't imagine. I mean, everybody's going to shut up and, well, actually not shut up. They're going to start talking in the middle of every fucking movie. There's no movie you can turn on that people will just be riveted to the entire time. Great crowd movie, great movie to watch on your own. Love this movie. Love this movie. You've heard the rest of my review for the past 45 minutes. I don't need to elaborate.
I love your
further.
passion
Chris.
for it, but it's no Blood Rage. Chris?
Blood Rage, get the fuck out. Blood Rage, get the fuck out.
I'm just fucking with you.
No. Yeah, Chris.
I'm going to give it a cue it. I respect the little vignettes. A lot of the little clown gags are pretty entertaining in that sort of Gremlins kind of way.
By the way, I have to interject real quickly. Are these Q's spelled with a K or a Q?
It's a K. Yeah.
Okay. Steven, is yours a K or a Q?
It's a Q.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a cue. It's like, the effects are good. The little sequences are fun. Like I said, it exceeded my very low expectations. I certainly understand the appeal of this movie, and why people look back on it as a cult classic. It just didn't really bring that much to the table for me. I found it really hard to pay attention to it. I agree with Steven on the crowd pleasing thing. There weren't enough moments that surprised me, I think, or engaged me. The title, you watch the first 10 minutes of the movie, you know what you're gonna get. It's all variations on the theme, basically.
Yeah.
There were a couple parts I really liked, but, especially the parts where they're just kind of going through the motions of like, oh, the heroes have to go to the spaceship and they have to explore it. And it's like, there's no reason for me. There's no reason for me to care about anything in this movie as a movie. You're basically just watching short 3-minute segments of clowns doing crazy clown things, but it's 2021. If I want to watch, non sequitur 3-minute comedy segments, I can just go to YouTube. I can hit autoplay and probably have just as much fun. So
this is utterly fascinating to me because both of you have said nothing but positive things until the reviews. Then you gave your reviews and both gave it a middling, endorsement, but said almost nothing but negative things in the actual content of your reviews. It's very interesting.
Mine isn't negative. I gave it a Q it with a Q, not a K.
No, the rating was a Q it, but you said mostly
I think I'm inclined when we're just talking to talk about the things that I found interesting or the things that I liked more than just be like, it didn't turn the dial for me, which is basically the substance of my negative review.
It was hard for me to figure out how to review this movie or how to, what rating to give it because I've had such a deep history with it, and I do enjoy a lot of things about it, but when it comes down to recommending it to other people over conscious B movies that do a better job than this movie does, that's where I kind of have to draw a line.
I thought I was going to get canceled by the horror community for a while because I was watching this and I thought, I know people love this movie, but I feel like I'm about to just say I hate this movie. I don't hate the movie. And I totally understand why people love the movie. There's a lot to love in the movie. It's just when it comes down to we're only on this planet for a finite amount of time. Do you really want to spend 80 minutes of that time watching this movie when you could be playing online blackjack?
Absolutely not. I want to spend 240 minutes of my time, and I have.
Yeah.
That's my answer to that question. But anyways, we need to get to the spoiler big top. So before we head over there, before we ride our little tricycles over there, I will remind you, as always, to follow us on social media. We're at Amoncast, EHMONcast, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And as a reminder, again, we will be live on Facebook and Instagram, maybe even Twitter, on April the 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern to celebrate our 100th episode. Also, check out our website. We've got a merch store out there where you can buy, all kinds of paraphernalia with Amon art on it. You can see the list of all the movies we've ever watched, along with our ratings for them. And also follow us and review us on your podcast provider of choice. It helps people find the show, and we'd love to see the feedback. So, should we head over to the Alien Big Top Circus Funhouse of Spoiler Majesty?
I mean, it might just be a crater by the time we get there, but let's head there.
Quite possible.
Let's go over there in a shot-for-shot remake of the Stephen King segment from Creepshow.
Oh my God, yes, we have to talk about that too. Okay, I'm excited. Let's go to the big top.
I don't remember what that was, so let's get on over there. We'll see ya. All right, we're back. We have landed in the Amon spoiler crater to discuss whatever the ostensible spoilers are for Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Well, one thing that I will throw out here just for starters, and it's not a spoiler, it's just something we haven't talked about yet, is I fucking love the theme song to this movie, which is about Killer Klowns from Outer Space.
By the Dickies. And
it slaps.
It fucking slaps. Do you want me to blow your mind right now? Are you ready for this?
Blow my mind. Blow my mind.
It was originally written to be a James Bond song.
No. I love the Dickies. I can't remember why I love the Dickies. They did like a bunch of like kind of comedy horror songs, I think, in the 80s and 90s. And my friend Dan, who's my best friend in high school, RIP, was into them. And also he introduced me to this movie. Cliff Martinez was the drummer of the Dickies in the era that they recorded this song. Cliff Martinez, like the...
Wait, what do I know Cliff Martinez from? He's done like other movie music, right?
Famous composer. I mean, I can Google him, but I'm pretty sure he did the soundtrack for Drive.
Oh.
The Scorpion Jacket movie?
Yeah, that movie.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, hold on. Let me look it up. Yeah, he did the soundtrack for Drive. Like, he's like this amazing electronic composer, and he was the drummer in the Dickies for the Killer Klowns from Outer Space theme song. And also that motif, that like guitar riff that comes up throughout this movie when things get heated is baller. It's so good.
Cliff Martinez was a drummer with the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Captain Beefheart, but he's also scored Spring Breakers and multiple films by, bringing it full circle, Steven Soderbergh. He scored Sex, Lies, and Videotape, Solaris, Contagion, and Traffic.
The Solaris soundtrack is something I listen to routinely. Like if I want,
oh, that's right. We were talking about Steven Soderbergh before we even started recording today.
Yeah, Patrick's making a reference. He says it's full circle because we were talking about Steven Soderbergh for about 45 minutes before we started recording. So if you're feeling confused, listener,
this is why we need to have a Patreon so we can put that 45 minutes of Steven Soderbergh chat on Patreon.
Yeah, the content our fans crave.
But I love an 80s or 90s horror movie that has a theme song.
Yes.
You know, like Freddy's Dead or Repo Man, you know, the Iggy Pop song. And this is very much in that vein, but it's fucking great. Like, it's a song I would listen to in my normal daily life, like on a drive.
It's just a great riff.
Like
it's like, if you turned the stereotypical circus music into like a punk guitar riff.
Totally.
It's great. Anyways, what are the spoilers from Killer Klowns from Outer Space?
Well, we were going to talk about Stephen King ripoff.
Oh yeah, right.
Which is just, you know, it's nothing, no big deal. But basically, this big top spacecraft tent crashes in this crater, and of course, the first person to find it is this just absolute bumpkin farmer. Much like Stephen King in Creepshow.
Yes,
and basically he has the same monologue to himself and he goes out to investigate.
How could I have forgotten that segment? It's
wild. And also, like, I don't know who the actor is, but like, I can't tell if he's doing a bad job or a really fucking good job playing that dopey character.
Either way, I didn't like it, and this was at the right at the beginning of the movie. So this is before the movie had scored goodwill with me, and it really kind of put me off. I was like, this is not interesting or original, and it's like below South Park level of comedy.
I don't know about all that, but
I like South Park.
R.I.P. Pooh Bear is all I can say.
I thought Pooh Bear was going to come back. That's the dog.
That's a theme. Let's cast our minds back to other films that we've seen in our journey that have featured the deaths of animals, particularly dogs. Like, this is a movie where, like, I was weirdly not upset about the death of the dog because it was such a surreal scene that I almost didn't even realize it was happening before my eyes.
Well, they do humane capture. They have a net and they net the dog, and you don't see the dog die.
Yeah, you're right.
I thought the dog was going to be on the spaceship and show up again later in the movie, be biting a clown's leg or something.
I mean, the Chiodo brothers reportedly wanted to create a whole franchise or perhaps a TV series that's, I think, still supposedly in the works. Even
it is. There's
3
an
decades
IMDb
later. So maybe Pooh Bear will still show back up.
There's an IMDb page for a Killer Klowns in Outer Space 2 3D that is very confusing to me because I don't know if it's been shot and not released or what is happening with it. But I hope that Pooh Bear comes back.
They're gonna have to recast him though.
I thought the effects on Pooh Bear
that dog is dead. That actual dog, Pooh Bear in the movie, he's dead.
Wasn't it an animatronic dog? I thought it was a puppet. It looked really good.
No, I mean the actual dog that was used in the filming he's dead now. Like, there's no way
puppet. The dog was a puppet. It wasn't a real dog. It was a puppet.
There was a real dog in some of those scenes, though, and that dog is dead.
It was an animatronic.
That was definitely a dog.
It was an animatronic.
Stop it.
Stop it. But yeah, it is 1,000,000% the lonesome death of Jordy Verrill, that whole sequence. Like this like old like fucking hillbilly living in this shack out in the middle of nowhere, like, oh, a comet's landing in my yard and we're gonna strike it rich and like sell this thing off.
It's just,
and then
it's the least interesting place for such a thing to land. I want to see it land outside the high school football game, and the jock goes out and he's like, don't worry, and then the jock gets his head torn off and the clown kicks it through the uprights at the football field.
That is more imaginative, but
and they give the visiting team gets 3 points.
This does feel very much like we've seen Creepshow, we've read EC Comics, we're gonna do that scene over again, like old prospector type finds the alien in his backyard. But it very quickly, I enjoyed it, and the actor's performance is baffling and strange. Like, I don't know who he is or what else he's been in, but he seemed drunk as fuck and like unable to deliver his lines in a way that made any kind of real sense, and that lended to the campiness to me.
I mean, it's a caricatured character. He's playing it exactly as how it's intended to be played.
And any one of us could play that character right now.
I will say, though, like this time around watching this movie, that actor seemed slightly confused, and that made it even more amusing to me.
Well, let me tell you about a great performance.
Let's hear it.
And again, I'm talking about Deputy Mooney, because when I think about spoilers for this movie, the only scene that I would not dare to spoil because it was so impactful on me is the ultimate fate of one Deputy Mooney.
It is. I did not remember this scene, even though I've seen this movie multiple times, and it fucking chilled me to the bone.
Bone chilling. So Deputy Mooney, as referenced previously, comes face to face with a killer clown. He books him. Good for him. There's a little bit of trouble with the handcuffs and everything, but ultimately the killer clown gets put in the jail cell.
Because the killer clown...
He does not get put in the jail cell. He never winds up there. Like it like this.
No, he does. He's in the jail cell. He voluntarily enters the jail cell after having shed the hands that were handcuffed. He just sheds them like a snake and regrows new hands, but still
snakes don't have hands.
But still, it's like a snake's skin, Chris. It's a fucking metaphor. Don't get fucking smart with me. But he allows himself to be incarcerated and then reaches his creepy clown hand through the bars.
Why is the word incarcerated so funny to me in this context?
Because I used it because I thought it was going to be funny to use in this context.
Okay. I laughed as well.
All right.
But yeah, he grows extra long hands to seize Mooney through the bars because it'll be more weird and creepy and awesome.
No, he has like a doesn't he have like a noisemaker or something?
Oh yes, that's right.
A noisemaker, and it unfurls.
What you guys are talking about is not even the most fucked up thing that happens to Mooney, though. I was moving beyond that.
Oh, we're moving beyond that. So the young Deputy Dave or Jake or whatever shows up.
I think it's Dave.
Deputy Dave shows up, and he finds that, it's like the Joker has been in the police department. There's clown-related paraphernalia painted on the walls.
Giant footprints all over the place.
Giant footprints. He sees that the punks who were arrested in the first scene of the movie have been cocooned. He goes out into the police station desk area, and he sees Deputy Mooney, but he has been turned into a ventriloquist puppet.
Oh, yes.
And so unsettling, the fucking clown has his arm in Deputy Mooney, making him emote, making him say things about how, like, we're here to kill all y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he takes his hand out. Deputy Mooney goes limp. But it was very unsettling. Very
he not
chilling.
only takes his hand out, there's a flourish of flicking the blood off of his glove.
Yeah. Like a samurai sword.
That is what fucked me up.
Yeah.
Is that little flick of his hand, his glove, with the blood flying off. I was like, oh, that's what's wrong with this movie. We needed more of that kind of nastiness this whole time.
It's a classic samurai move. These are killer samurai clowns from outer space.
Oh, the clown has like ostensibly thrust his hand through Mooney's spine and up his neck to puppet him from inside. There's nothing surgical about this, nothing neat about it. It's just gross.
He's got the jaw cut like a ventriloquist puppet. And it really did remind me of the classic James Wan film Dead Silence, which we will be watching if it returns to Netflix.
I am excited to finally have a reason to watch that.
Oh my God.
Been curious about it for a long time. Although I think you spoiled it for me a while ago, Chris.
I did, but you probably don't remember.
I don't.
But it is the definitive movie about people being turned into puppets. Anyway,
what else?
I thought it was a legitimately unsettling sequence. That was the only time in this movie that it approached something like horror for me personally.
You know what approaches horror for me even more than that is when they're in the fucking funhouse at the end and they just keep opening doors. Like they open a door, there's another smaller door behind it. They open that door, there's a smaller door behind it. There's like 5 doors, and it's another one of those things where it is a joke. It's played for humor, but also it's legitimately nightmarish and unsettling to me. Like that's something that would happen in a dream for me.
Totally. That is nightmare logic. There's some stuff in that sequence that I thought was like really cheap looking. Like the clowns are like kind of doing a little parade and there's like the cardboard fucking door frames moving back and forth. I'm like, all right, that's really cheap. But when we get to the escalating level of doors getting smaller and smaller and smaller, my anxiety increased.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really brilliant scene. And very cheaply done, too. It's not like a big special effects scare.
No.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in a horror movie before.
No.
You guys ever been in a fun house like that?
Yeah. Well, not like that.
But I used to like the House of Mirrors at the fair, but I think the only time I went through on my own, as in not with a parent, I got a bloody nose, and I had to find my way out with my head tipped back.
Oh no!
Shit,
and did you run into a mirror?
No, I spontaneously got a bloody nose, and I ran into. There were like some girls in the House of Mirror as I was on my way out, and they were like, "Oh, he's got a bloody nose."
You became the horror.
Yeah, I heightened their experience at least.
But yeah, so they get through all these doors and we get to the final climactic battle, which is with a giant clown, which is
Mega Clown. I've called him Mega Clown.
Mega Clown. Yeah. And
definitely Mega Clown, yeah.
It looks like a puppet, and I'm not sure if it's supposed to look like a puppet. Because it fits with the aesthetic. If it is a giant like clown that has strings attached to it, and I love that too, that it works either way. It could just be a giant puppet on a miniature set, or it could be part of the aesthetic. I don't know.
He's definitely got strings when he comes down, but I think the strings become cut and he's a live ass giant clown.
Wait, he has strings?
But
are you kidding?
Yeah,
there are definitely strings. Yeah.
When first emerges, he's like a marionette, which raises the horrifying question of who holds the strings.
Yeah. An even bigger clown.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, it's a big, dopey, fun final battle. He smashes the douchebag brothers' ice cream truck. Turns out they're okay because they just hid in the back in the freezer with the ice cream.
Yeah. The ice cream's still cold. The guy's like eating an ice cream sandwich or a popsicle or something afterwards.
And the clowns, in the end, the humans really don't win. I think presumably the clowns have just collected enough humans and enough human blood, and they take the fuck off.
Yep, and that's the only insight we get into their motivation, because we are hiding out in the cotton candy room where they keep all the cocooned humans, and we see a clown kind of come in, and he sticks the pod with his crazy straw, or as the Joker would call it, a normal straw, and sucks all the blood out of this person.
Yeah,
and
that's your movie.
That's your movie.
Oh my god, the parade sequence is great too, when they're just driving through town collecting cotton candy pods and sucking them up in their fucking parade float.
Yeah.
Is it great or is it terrible?
It's great.
I zoned out during that part.
It's great.
I was like, all right, I'm ready for this to be over.
Oh, I'm so on board. I got so hyped at that point. I was like, that was
because I'm not invested in the clown.
It's a brand new escalation of the concept. I loved it.
But I don't understand through this entire movie, like, why I'm rooting for the clowns. And I am for most of it. But when it gets over the top, I kind of lose my enthusiasm for them and for the movie itself.
I don't think I'm ever rooting actively for any character in the film, whether the human protagonist, the clowns, the police, whatever. I don't think I'm ever actively rooting for any of them. I'm just rooting for the Chiodo brothers to come up with something new and fucking crazy. I'm not...
Okay, well, that I can get behind.
I'm not invested.
Yes, that I can get behind.
I'm not invested in any of the characters on paper on a human level. I'm just invested in the filmmaking. Really, that's what I enjoy about this.
As someone who has a Critters poster above his toilet, I'm always rooting for the Chiodo brothers.
I need to finally watch some Critters.
You might be disappointed, but those films were important to me as a child. But I can understand now, like, how you felt compelled to continue investing emotion in this movie, purely on the basis of special effects.
I mean, you know what? As I've said already way too many times, I've seen this 3 times in the past year. I don't know that I've ever, in those 3 times, invested my full attention in this movie. I'm always like... talking to somebody, or I'm texting or something. It's not like, I mean, this is kind of why I said before, like, it is kind of a great crowd movie to me, because, like, people are inevitably going to start fucking yakking. And every so often something crazy happens, and I would go, holy shit, I was not paying enough attention. And my experience every time I watch this movie is rewinding it at least a couple of times, because I was not paying enough attention and something wild happens, and I'm like, whoa, I need to see that and what the context was for that.
You know what one of my favorite, like, social gathering movies to put on is Man's Best Friend.
What's that?
Is that
you know
a
what I'm
dog
talking
movie?
about? Yeah, it's a dog movie. It's.
I feel like I can picture the poster. I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, it stars Lance Henriksen.
Oh, is that? Oh fuck!
Oh fuck is right.
Is that from the? Is that Lassie? What's the director's name?
Oh, Hallström.
Lassie Hallström.
Yeah.
I have no idea who made it, to be honest. All I know is it's about Lance Henriksen.
Dude, dogs were abused during the making of that movie. It's what I'm thinking of.
John Lafia is the name. Co-writer of Child's Play, director of Child's Play 2.
I think
that one.
I think Steven and I are thinking of a different movie. It's called like
We Are Patrick.
A Dog's Life or something.
Yes, we're thinking of A Dog's Life. Man's Best Friend. Scream Factory released this.
Oh, did they? I need to get the Scream Factory version then, because I have an old DVD. But yeah, Lance Henriksen's a mad scientist who's made a genetically engineered dog who gets taken out of the lab by animal rights activists and adopted by a journalist.
No way.
And it's just a kind of a series of vignettes of like things a fucked up dog would do, and it's kind of fun to watch because it's relatable that way. You get to see him like eat a cat whole, climb a tree, cut the husband's brake lines.
All those relatable things that we like to do.
Yeah.
All right, well, speaking of movies that you watch with a bunch of friends, I feel like it's time for Steven to tell us what he's watching with his friends for the next episode of this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much a wrap, I guess, on the Killer Clown movie, right?
I don't know. Do we have anything else to say about it?
I would say
I'm gassed like McGregor.
I would say it's the best. It's maybe the best Killer Clown movie that doesn't star Joaquin Phoenix, Jack Nicholson.
It's
Heath
better
Ledger.
than Killjoy. I don't know if you guys have seen Killjoy, but it's way better than that. I think there might be a whole series of those films, actually.
Clowns just don't turn the dial for me.
All right, so we're going to do something totally different, guys.
Totally different. Totally fresh.
Totally different. We're going to watch a horror parody / satire.
Is it Scary Movie?
It's Scary Movie 5.
Yes! Oh, wow.
Yes! And we're going to try so hard to get on this movie's level and talk about it without getting canceled. And I'm very excited for that little ballet that we're going to have to do.
Yes. Yeah, that will be a tap dance.
Oh my god.
A total tap dance.
This has been on my list for so long. I've avoided it partly because I can't quite summon enough enthusiasm to spend my own vote on it, and also because I've felt like you guys would just fucking run me out of town on a rail for making you watch Scary Movie.
Hell no.
We're going to have to turn in our woke police badges before we watch this one.
I don't think so. I think as long as we set it up in the sense that no target is off limits, and these movies are meant to offend everyone of every kind of sexual orientation or race, we're going to be fine. It's still going to be fucking rough, though, and I can't wait to parse through it with you guys.
I'm good with the Wayans brothers. I have not. The only movie.
Wait, how many of them? Because they're 7.
Oh, whichever ones make the movies. I don't know.
Damon and Marlon.
They might all be involved.
The only one I've seen, the only Wayans brothers movie I've seen is White Chicks, and I love it. I love White Chicks.
Okay, all right. That might be a Patreon episode.
It's really easy for me to get on the level of that movie, and just the whole movie exists in the uncanny valley because you have the Wayans brothers made up to look like. I think they were inspired by George W. Bush's daughters.
I think you're right. Oh my god, that makes so much sense.
And so the whole movie is just vaguely. It's like looking at the clowns from Killer Clowns from Outer Space. The whole movie.
I should clarify. I have never seen a Scary Movie, so I don't know what I'm in for. I know they're not. I mean, famously not good, and I know that it's probably going to test my patience within the first 5 minutes, yet also I'm so morbidly curious.
I guarantee you will laugh.
Well, we're starting the discussion now apparently, but we will have the actual discussion. Yeah, we'll have the actual discussion on our next episode.
Sight unseen, do you find this movie problematic?
This pick is pretty loaded. I think it is necessary to have a kind of preamble to it.
Well, we didn't make it. It's just out there. We're gonna watch it. We'll review it next episode, which is our 101st episode. So, final reminder.
So exciting.
101 episodes. Gotta watch out for Cruella de Vil. Gonna try and make a coat of our episode.
Hopefully,
that was so cute, Chris.
Hopefully not the Emma Stone version. That's some true horror there.
God.
But yeah, reminder, join us on Facebook and Instagram Live, April 1st, April Fool's Day, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be shooting the shit, reflecting on the past 100 episodes, chatting with y'all.
We're going to fool you, too.
We're going to be vibing. It's our prank. You're going to tune in, and there's just not going to be a stream because we couldn't figure out how to do it technically.
We're going to be chatting with y'all. If you want to join in, we might be playing some horror Trivial Pursuit. Who knows what'll happen? So join us for that. Join us for our next episode, and thank you for joining us for this, our 100th episode. We will see you next time for Every Horror Movie on Netflix. I'm Patrick.
I'm Chris.
I'm Steven.
And we'll see you next time.